This episode is brought to you by Amazon Business. We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
The holidays have arrived at the Home Depot, and we're here to help bring the excitement with decor for every part of your home. Check out our wide assortment of easy-to-assemble pre-lit trees so you can spend less time setting up and more time celebrating. And bring your holiday spirit outdoors with unique decor like one of our Santa inflatables. Whatever your style, find the right pieces at the right prices this holiday season at the Home Depot.
This is Optimal Finance Daily, Interesting Financial Rules to Follow by J Money of budgetsaresexy.com. I came across an article this morning and can't say I've heard of half of these rules of thumb before. Maybe that's why they're so breakable. It's called Financial Rules of Thumb to Consider Breaking. I'll go over them along with my own 2 free cents and an attempt at comparing them to our own finances to see if we're on track or not. Is anyone following any of these? Quote, spend no more than half of your income on living expenses. Keep discretionary items to 30% and save the rest, end quote. People sure would be better off if they followed this, but I have yet to run into anyone who actually budgets off of percentages. Do you? In theory, I think it all makes sense, but I tend to just cut back on all the areas I'm able to cut back in. Some months it's good and others not. And then at the same time, stash as much savings as I can each month as well. Maybe it breaks down into similar percentages over time. I've never really run the numbers. But so far, it's been working out well, at least since I've wrapped my head around all this stuff a decade ago. Ask the old me though, and I couldn't tell you what I was spending on, no less the pie percentage. At any rate, here's where our current finances would break down if it was pied up like that. Living expenses, 60%, discretionary, 20%, and savings and investments, 20%. It's not too far off, actually, although there's a number of items in there I had to guess on as wasn't sure which category they'd fall into, says the guy who blogs about finance for a living. Quote, you can afford a home that's 2 to 4 times your annual gross income, end quote. Well, this one should be an easy one to compare since we literally just bought a house. Doing the math on this bad boy pushes us out into the $320,000 to $640,000 range, where I'm glad to see we've landed way on the lower end of the scale here. Although if you recall, we did get approved all the way up to $800,000 from one source. So it seems pretty accurate, at least on the lender side. And not to be confused with what you can actually afford, by the way, since the banks are happy to loan out as much as they can get away with because it means more money for them. So don't fall for that trick like many of us have over the years. Quote, you need life insurance equal to 8 to 10 times your annual pre-tax income, end quote. No idea where this figure comes from, but if we stayed in line with it, we'd need to have about $640,000 to $800,000 each, of which we'd massively fail at since we only have $350,000 of life insurance each. Though it was initially set up to mainly cover our mortgages in the event one of us passed pre-kids. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to reassess here again. Although isn't the point of financial freedom to be fully sufficient without needing outside help unless you wanted it? We're far from that point at the moment, but it would be yet another perk if you could start clearing away some insurances since you'd be able to fund a lot more during your demise. And not talking about health insurance, by the way. Ain't no way I'm giving that up with our jacked up system here. Curious though, how many early retirees out there are still carrying life insurance? Why or why not? In other fun news, I recently read that they call it life insurance versus death insurance because it's more appealing to see and better odds of people signing up for it, which is probably true, unless you happen to enjoy thinking about death. quote, save 1/3 of the cost of college, end quote. I've never thought of the ratio when it comes to saving for college. I've just always gone with the save as much as you're able to route, and we'll figure it out later when it gets closer. But probably better to have a more developed game plan in place. Per that same article, quote, under this rule of thumb, you pay for 1/3 of the cost of college from savings, pay 1/3 from current income and financial aid, and borrow 1/3 using a combination of parent and student loans, end quote. Anyone care to share their perspective or strategy with this who's in the thick of it all? Obviously, it would be great to have it all taken care of by the time they leave your comfy nest. But we all know it's hard enough to stay on top of our other massive goals in this game of life. So I think if you're at least saving something towards it, you're allowed to be semi-proud of yourself. At least that's the rationalization I'm telling myself. And lastly, quote, you'll need 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to live on when you retire, end quote. Oh boy, the magical retirement number question. Everyone run for the hills. You already know what I'm going to say on this one, so we won't linger on it too long, but it's always fun to refresh ourselves for all the new people to the scene. And to those people we say, pay attention to the expenses of your future planning, not your income, as you can very well be poor with $1 million hitting you in the face, or rich with $10,000 in the bank, all depending on the quality of lifestyle you want or need later on. And while we do have a common rule here in the F.I.R.E community, 25 times your yearly forecasted expenses, there's still all kinds of variables you can throw into the mix and tweak to your heart's desire. So it's really about finding the starting point that seems best to you and then adapting it as life moves on and changes. And it will always be changing, believe me. And with that, I'm already feeling a bit retired. You just listened to the post titled Interesting Financial Rules to Follow by J Money of budgetsorsexy.com. Imagine you're a business owner who has to rely on a dozen different software programs to run your company, none of which are connected, and each one is more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected on one simple, easy-to-use platform, giving you peace of mind that your business is always being taken care of from every angle. Odoo has user-friendly open-source applications for everything. We're talking CRM, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and everything in between. Basically, if your business needs it, Odoo's got it. Odoo sounds pretty amazing, right? So stop wasting your time and money on those expensive, disconnected platforms and let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. It doesn't get much better than that. So what are you waiting for? Discover how Odoo can take your business to the next level by visiting odoo.com. That's ODOO.com. Odoo, modern management made simple.
My marathon isn't about time. It's about my 26 friends with intellectual disabilities I'm dedicating each mile to. I'm Joseph. I'm running my first Bank of America Chicago Marathon for Special Olympics Illinois to help give my friends a place to shine.
Join Bank of America in supporting Joseph's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportjoseph. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America.
References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation.
I think the rule that stood out to me the most is you can afford a home that's 2 to 4 times your annual gross income. I definitely disagree with this for a number of reasons. And frankly, I think a lot of people that buy homes simply can't afford them. To base affordability on income is incredibly risky from my perspective because you could lose your income at any moment. For me personally, I didn't feel I could afford to buy a home until other financial goals were met. I first got out of consumer debt, started fully funding my retirement vehicles, and had a year of expenses as a cash cushion before I considered buying a house. Income is just one delicate element of your overall financial position. So if you only consider this one thing when deciding if you should buy a home, you may be backing yourself into a corner. I think it's wise to buy the least expensive and smallest house that is comfortable, because my overall goal is to keep my fixed costs as low as possible. If you can do really well in the areas of housing, transportation, and food, you're pretty much set up to be able to navigate whatever life throws at you, and you have many more options. For example, my mortgage is only $600 per month, which made my decision to quit my job last year and pursue self-employment so much easier. And when I was buying this house, I didn't think about if I could afford it based on what the bank said I could afford. I thought about if I could easily afford it should I have a drop in income. And that's a wrap for another Monday show. Have a great rest of your day and start to your week. And I'll be back tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.